For 100 days, I'm gonna cross the 7 continents because the answers to everything important are out there at the edges of our world.
What inspired me to become a storyteller? My mother thought I was hilarious. It was kind of a way to keep my household light and fun. I had a natural sense of the setup, the development, and the punchline. Jokes were how I developed my sense of story.
Growing up, a mixed heritage boy in Wales, I didn't see myself in a lot of stories, so I relied on my mum and my dad. That fostered a sense of curiosity to learn about the world, and it was a story, it was a book that I picked up that inspired me into this chapter of my life as a polar athlete, which still feels nuts.
Storytelling isn't something I intended to do in any way. I intended to be a scientist, not interacting with people, kind of messy. And then I realized, oh, actually the most powerful thing I can do as a scientist is to get people to come and engage with this whole idea of how we build knowledge, of how we stay curious.
I am a child of the 80s, right when hip hop was starting, and I wanted to be a rapper. I loved television. The Oprah Winfrey Show graced our airwaves, and I looked at this brown-skinned, full-figured woman who was unapologetic about her success, and I said, that is who I want to become. I want to connect people. Fast forward, and I'm at National Geographic doing just that.
My name is Will Smith.
My name's Richard Parks.
I'm Fong.
My name is Karen Greenfield.
And this is the Storytellers Spotlight. There it is, Antarctica. Look at that down there. No trees, no birds, like nothing. Just snow and ice. It is a frozen continent and nobody lives down there, except for a few explorers and scientists. This is about to be crazy. I always had the sense that there was a seed of need from humanity, that people needed stories, finding the sameness. You know, a lot of times we can feel polarized and, totally at odds with other people. And through stories, we get to see how similar we actually are.
I am the Senior Vice President of Inclusive Content and Engagement with National Geographic, and I have the awesome responsibility to ensure that we are telling authentic stories, that we are allowing new voices and perspectives, living up to the National Geographic mission of telling global stories by global peoples. Pole to Pole with Will Smith was just organic for us.
The idea for Pole to Pole sort of evolved. I had been working with Disney Plus and Nat Geo for the seasons of Welcome to Earth and One Strange Rock. We'd been sniffing around the idea for a while, and then Pole to Pole is sort of the next evolution of that idea.
We get to learn about indigenous people and how they conserve their own land. We get to understand climate change. The heart behind Pole to Pole is to tell gripping, entertaining stories about the wonders of our world through everyday people. Having Richard and Allie join Will in this journey was absolutely incredible. These aren't bigger than life icons. These are everyday people with everyday stories and backgrounds.
I feel like I'm just a little bit too small for the chair. Like most young boys and girls in Wales, I grew up wanting to play rugby for our national team, and I was privileged to have a successful career as a professional rugby player. However, I tore the cartilage out of my right shoulder, rendering it ultimately arthritic. You know, that was a tough period in my life. When that was taken away from me overnight, I just fell off the edge of a cliff. I picked up a book by Sir Ranulph Fiennes, a very famous British explorer, and I was captivated by his stories of endeavour and exploration. And at that period of my life, I needed something to channel my energies. I needed something to focus in that was positive and not destructive, and I decided I was going to learn how to climb. People like me didn't climb.
As shattered as I am, I go through every second again for these views. They're just absolutely phenomenal.
My way out of a dark hole evolved into a world first project where I became the first person to climb the highest mountain on each of the world's 7 continents and stand on the North and the South Pole in the same calendar year. That was the doorway into this chapter. So, polar athlete, alpine athlete, dad. Yeah, it's hard to know what I am really. I'm just curious.
Ooh, curiosity is the most important thing. When people ask me what it is that's most exciting about being a scientist, it's about the fact that you get paid to ask questions. If you think about what defines humans from the rest of the beautiful organisms in our world, as sentient beings, we can be curious. We can cultivate that.
Going out to the limits of this world with people who have learned how to survive there, and then teaching me how to open to facing the storms that arise in your mind when you're about to do something you've never done before. That is the highest experience I've ever had in this business.
When they pull this camera out of an anaconda 100 years from now, I just want you to know it's his fault.
Let's go!
Will is curious. We know that that is a National Geographic, a Walt Disney Company storytelling value.
I had a mentor named Dr. Alan Counter, and he used to always try to get me to go on explorations with him. He was always, retracing Henson's steps or recover a sword from a lost tribe. He's a black Indiana Jones. He passed a few years ago. I felt inspired to experience some of the things that he was pushing me to experience.
These type of situations always start very humbly. I opened an email about a project that may or may not be in Antarctica with a Hollywood A-list celebrity that may or may not be this person. So I really didn't know what I was getting into.
Did not ever intend to become a National Geographic explorer. Of course, like many people, grew up with the magazine.
They kind of had me when they said they couldn't tell me who I was going with.
I thought the email was spam. I ignored the email because I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not. This has nothing to do with me. Wait a minute, this is not spam. This might not be spam.
I remember, getting the phone call saying that, the team at Disney and Nat Geo have chosen me to support Will on his journey to the South Pole.
Whoa, Will Smith, as in like Will Smith of my childhood, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Will Smith.
Now this is a story all about
Obviously then it went from excitement to absolute fear. I was absolutely petrified. Like, what have I let myself in for? Just one job, Rich, one job, getting back safely.
I've decided to go see for myself. I'm going to begin my journey by trying to touch the absolute farthest extreme, the very bottom of the planet, the South Pole. Richard and I being out there on the polar plateau, trying to wrestle our minds into surrender and happiness and just how to be here.
Will was largely out of his comfort zone, and I was worried about the insurance claim that might come from that.
Richard has been in the deep end of his mind. He walked the proverbial valley of the shadow of death and realized it's just a shadow. It's actually nothing to be scared of.
We strategically wanted Will to experience that. Psychologically, I felt the Will needed to be tested. The confidence that comes with that experience to know that he was going to be able to endure the polar plateau because there's zero margin for error up there. He came to Antarctica looking for something. It was the most authentic scream, outpouring of joy, of achievement. From then on, I knew that the Will was there.
The dive at the North Pole was the scariest of all the things. Allie and I went on.
Phytoplankton are like the lungs of the planet.
So they clean the atmosphere of CO2 and they create oxygen.
Yeah, so that CO2 doesn't get back into the atmosphere. It stays trapped there for thousands of years.
So we got to give phytoplankton their flowers. They don't get their flowers.
No, they don't.
It's like the trees get all the props for us being able to breathe.
There's these things, they're called sea ice ridges. We think they're really important to the ecosystem. They're very difficult to sample. People dive and they're like, what? Diving? They're like, would you do it? I was like, I need more coffee.
It was sketchy.
We're going to stop the ship and scuba dive under the ice.
Are you worried? Okay.
The moment with Allie, we're making a show and we're having fun and we're enjoying it. And a storm came in and I saw Allie's eyes well up with tears. It was like that kind of devotion to the evolution of humankind, you know. It was beautiful and brutal. It was brutal to watch.
Taking away barriers to storytelling is imperative, and that's what we do at the Walt Disney Company and, of course, National Geographic. And because we are in this age of telling stories through many platforms, everyone around the globe, no matter where you live, where you went to school, how you grew up, can enjoy and share content and information together, and that is the beauty of Content Creators Day.
Why it's important to me to do things like Creator Day. Life for me is about people. Interacting with people around the things that are most important in life. You work with young creators and, you know, people who are at the beginning of their careers trying to find their voice. Creators tend to look at it from a different angle, and it's inspiring to me.
This is Save the Elephants.
My name is Lindsay Nicole. I'm a zoologist. I make zoology content about animals, evolution on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I love that Nat Geo has embraced the creator community, especially coming from a scientific background. I think the scientific community kind of has some catching up to do with including creators in the space, and Nat Geo is really leading that effort. People are getting all of their science information and content online. It was really cool to hear from Allie and Richard. They're both explorers, scientists, and to see them in such a huge production alongside Will Smith, it's just really inspiring.
We've got to meet people where they are. We can't bang on about climate change, or we can't talk about how amazing Antarctica is and how magical the planet is, you know, from an ivory tower. You have to roll your sleeves up. You have to get dirty.
This is a whole new thing for me. Like literally a fish out of water, right? I grew up as a child before the internet was like universally available. I didn't realize that young people don't use email. I was like, can you email me? They're like, what is So I think, Content Creator Day is a lot about giving different perspectives on the knowledge that we have.
My name is Tristan Maloney. I'm a content creator. I do voiceover stuff right now. It's currently what I'm doing.
Well, just like that.
Nat Geo reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be a part of a secretive thing with Will Smith that he was a part of. At first, I thought there was no way. This is definitely not real, but it turned out it was very real. They wanted to do a little piece with the content that I do mixed with Will.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Whoa.
That was my impression. That was you.
That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah. Because you're doing a lot of that.
Pole to pole looks next level. It would certainly test my anxiety just thinking about it, pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, and there's so much growth in that. Even just flying here, I really don't like flying. I hate flying. I'm a total baby when it comes to flying. You find out a lot about yourself and your perspective of life when you make yourself a little bit uncomfortable.
Like somewhere around 10 spiders is where I leave.
Let's make some money.
My name is Evan Williams. I started in stand-up comedy as a kid. I could turn on the TV. I was watching Nat Geo when I want to get out of America. I want to see the world a little bit. So the fact that they're reaching out to me today, it's awesome. I play a film producer that pitches movie ideas.
Are we thinking like a trilogy? No, we're gonna make 12 of them.
And so that's what I was able to do today. I pitched a movie idea to Will.
Willie, how we doing, baby? How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
What you got going on?
I'm here from pole to pole. I'm doing a show with Disney.
Oh, it's that rough. You're working the pole now.
Probably the greatest honor of my career is that he was like, wait, that's a good idea.
That's actually a really good. I was like, damn, I gotta pretend like that's not hot.
The thought that I just got to sit across from this guy with a camera lens on us is pretty cool. Will showed up on YouTube and Instagram. I was stoked. Sometimes when like an actor who's getting older gets an Instagram, it feels like your dad got an Instagram a little bit, They're like trying to figure out like where the post button is. They're actually posted a bunch of stories. They don't realize what they're doing. Will showed up and I was just like, oh my God, we get to know Will Smith a little more now. It gave more of a backstory to like what puts the super in superstar.
How do you find Will Smith in Antarctica? You follow the Fresh Prince. You get it?
Let go of what you think it should be. You have an idea, but when you get into uncharted territory and you have no idea what you're doing and how it's going to turn out, that's the peak level of creativity, when your mind is not doing it anymore. You're with the currents. You're not trying to do a trend. You're out in the uncharted territories of your own mind.
To be able to see a nature show like this with an icon, you strip away everything else he is. Now he's just in the elements. Like what happens to a star when it's just you and nature?
We are going down 200 feet.
Imagine if down there's a cure for cancer. Stop.
You must be outside of your comfort zone. You're not learning if you're comfortable. For me, it was finding comfort in the absolute mind attack.
Nat Geo bringing that opportunity for us to collaborate. I'm very uncomfortable collaborating with people. It was uncomfortable for me, but it was very helpful in a lot of ways, so I'm glad that it happened.
My message to someone who is thinking about being a National Geographic explorer, or more importantly, think they cannot be, I would offer you are already an explorer. If you're curious, if you have ideas.
To the 7-year-old kid and to all kids in general.
Talking to a 7-year-old, my son is 7, so I'm explicitly talking to Fred.
You are this special human being who's in the making, who's evolving. You're going to do things that we've never even imagined. So just keep on being you.
I spent so much of my life, particularly in mainstream elite sport, kind of carrying this anxiety of failure or this expectation that you have to be perfect or the best. It's just noise. So if I was talking to Fred, and I do this regularly, I would tell him, never be afraid of failing.
Step into your own storyteller spotlight by turning your device on yourself and your friends, your classmates, your parents even. You have stories to tell, and you have an audience who cares.
When people talk about fearlessness, I don't think fearlessness is a real thing. Like, no. You're terrified, you just relax and do it anyway. Begin again every day.
I see that you're scared, and that's okay. Give me your hand. Lean on me. We'll lean together.
All right, it's late and I gotta pee. I'll be in the morning.